Good afternoon, everybody. It's still August 13th, 2025. What is it about? It's after 4:30 in the evening anyway. But I walked so much today, I already did a video. I did a video on Victory Park here in Minsk, and it's quite a ways down that way. It's, I don't know, maybe 3-4 kilometers, and I had to walk many kilometers in that area. Here's what I'm looking at while I'm sitting here. It is overlooking Nyamiga, this Nyamiga area here. And of course there's the chief church. It looks like some people maybe don't want to be in my video. But that's a chief Orthodox church here in Belarus. I believe that's the building right there. But anyway, I'll do some news. The earlier video was just walking around Victory Park. I didn't go inside of the museum, but I'm just showing you around. I didn't go through the entire park either. There might have even been parts, across the street that maybe is also part of the park. I don't really know. I'm just walking around and looking at things, and I don't have a tourist guide, so I can't tell you everything. Sometimes I give you like more detailed reports about things, but a lot of time I'm not. I don't know. It's not my deal. I'm just looking at how nice it is in Belarus, and all the nice people and things that go on here like that. So it's shooting from the hip. Okay, but let's talk about some news here. Let's see what's going on. A lot of people are still making up these theories about, what is this? What's going to happen between Putin and Trump in Alaska? But a lot of vloggers, a lot of the well-informed people are saying it's going to be a big nothing burger. Trump has even been hinting also that it's not going to be anything that important. It's only going to maybe set a dialogue that maybe the two leaders can speak to each other or whatever. There's some people are saying, they're going to be a surprise. What's going to happen? It's going to be the end, or Trump is going to nail. I don't know. But you might have some things set out here. Maybe Putin has some suggestions, and maybe Trump. But the United States. I think I mentioned that in the other video. They always try to trick Russia. Always. They always. If you look at a lot of these other vloggers, if you look at Larry Johnson or Danny Hapong or probably the Duran. I think I saw something from Alex Christoforo, and I put on save to watch later Alexander Makuras. That's always interesting. These are pretty well informed guys, obviously, and I think they'll probably say the same thing. The U.S. will seek to trick. I mean, what is like Gerald Celente? What is the trend? The trend is to try to trick Russia, always. And I can look at it at a historical perspective. It goes back hundreds of years. Trick Russia. I've already mentioned things like that many, many times in my videos about the ways they tricked Russia. They sent Lenin there. They did all kinds of things. That was Germany at that time. It's the Europe, the earlier European Union, the Holy Roman Empire. It's trick Russia, trick Russia, trick Russia. And Russia's only one party, and these people are all ganging up. Napoleon, it's just Hitler tricked Russia, like acting like their friend, and they weren't their friend, and I don't know. They called it even, I think, on World War II, I've mentioned that before, even was Germany against France, and I don't know what world powers were involved then, but it was the German military had not been defeated. They were on French territory, and yet Germany surrendered. And it's like, and the military calls it the stab in the back, because Germany was not losing in World War I. That's World War I, excuse me. Did I say World War II? Anyway, but that's, all this stuff is all up for your speculation and perspectives and everything else like that anyway. So some people even say that they're going to try to assassinate Putin. I don't know. I makes you wonder because it's going to be meeting on the military base. I think it's called. It used to be called Richardson, and I think it's called some with like a German word, Eckhorn or something like that. Richardson military base. Oh, that I'd never been there myself. I knew somebody. My girlfriend's father was stationed there in his younger days, and he used to talk about that. It's nothing important anyway. I've been to some other military bases. Well, one that was a military base. It's called Cold Bay, Alaska. That's on an island. You can land a 747 there. It's a big airfield, airstrip. And when the weather is bad, when I used to fly into an island called Sand Point, I guess that was just in the news like a week or two ago. I can't remember. Were a tsunami warning? I don't know. There's even buffalo on that island, on the island of Sand Point. But when the weather was too bad, and they couldn't land on the gravel or dirt runway, they had to land in Cold Bay, and sometimes you had to stay there a couple days until the weather cleared up, and then you could go back to Sand Point, Alaska. And on the flights on the way out there, on Revolution, I think the airline is defunct now. It used to have the best record of any airlines in the United States, and they could even land on glaciers. It's called Revolution Airlines, and the turbulence, the airplanes was bouncing all over the place. Yeah, it was very interesting, small airplanes, but anyway, that's the old days. Oh, the old days, sonny boy. But some people are talking about a lot of the meeting is going to be about Arctic cooperation. I tell you what, that would probably be a lot more constructive than trying to end this war between Ukraine and Russia, because it's not going to. I don't think anything's going to be resolved. It's not going to end anything. Ukraine has their position. You cannot end it without, Ukraine's approval, obviously. And, Zelensky wants to, in effect, win the war. He wants to dominate and say everything and get all the territory back. Everything. He doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that he's completely defeated. Obviously, if he cared about his people, he would. But he doesn't care about his people. He doesn't care if all of them die, except for him, so he can go to his luxury mansions. Him and Budanov and some of those other jokers that he's, the Nazi jokers. Adolf was even down to his little boys putting on uniforms to defend Berlin against the Soviet Union. By the way, that Russia defeated, not the United States. I just said that in a video today. You go all over these countries, and everywhere, every city, multiple memorials to all the people that died in World War II defeating the Nazis. And the United States, they put in about that much. The only thing they really did that was significant was the Lend-Lease program. I talked about that earlier on that video today with the one I went to Victory Park over there. I showed one of the airplanes, and it helped the Soviet Union, quite a bit, but Russia would have still defeated the Nazis even without that. Maybe it would have taken longer. Maybe it would have been more bloody. I don't know. Who is to say? Probably some of the historians over here would tell you a lot more accurate. They're a little bit more versed on what happened there. So what else was going on? The leader of Mexico, Sheinbaum, sounds German to me. She says that she wants to see the evidence that Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela is a drug dealer. That I talked about that in yesterday's video. That the United States wants, they'll give $50 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro's head. And I think they're saying it's because he's a narco dealer. And nobody on planet Earth has ever seen any evidence about that. Like I was saying yesterday, it's like, doesn't he have enough to do to run the country? I mean, and he's a narco boss besides that. The United States. So I guess what was Bin Laden's bounty? It was 20 million? I don't know. Bin Laden, I think he died in 2001. I don't even remember all of this history. I think he was already dead after, and the United States was still using him as a boogeyman. I don't know. It's all just a big dog and pony show anyway, all the crap that comes out of the United States. Everybody that watches this knows this. It all gets proven later on. You have all these like bloggers like myself, even, and Larry Johnson and the Duran and even Jimmy Dore, and there's many, 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 many people, why is it? It's very strange that at least 95% of the time we turn out to be right, and the official story from the United States government, maybe it's like at least 80 to 90% of the time it turns out to be nothing but a bunch of dog and pony show lies. I don't know. But anyway, there is the leader of Mexico asked for evidence, and the United States didn't respond. And it always keeps reminding me about all these times when George Galloway, when they said he was working, he was working in a partner. He was partners with Saddam Hussein, and what they didn't expect is George Galloway get on a plane. He went to the United States. Okay, let's have the trial. Let's have the trial right now. Or maybe they had the trial. They didn't think he was going to show up. He showed up and just ran circles around him. The United States Congress, because it was just a dog and pony show. You got to get sick of this stuff. And it's just like the Epstein things. Everybody knew that something was going on, and now Donald Trump says, "Oh, there's nothing to see here." Donald Trump, unfortunately, he lost a lot of his credibility with MAGA. He's just as much of a deep state, who knows what the heck, and it's probably threats from Israel. A lot of people say that's what it says, and I already told you in one video about this. I think about maybe like the Polaroid pictures, that they have photos, I guess, with Donald Trump with young girls. Maybe he has all his clothes on. Maybe it's just compromising besides the fact. And there's one that they released. I think it looked like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old girl sitting on Donald Trump's lap, really prettied up, and she's got her arm around his shoulder. Donald Trump is wearing his signature suit and tie. I don't know, but maybe it's compromising. So, anyway. But a lot of people are suspecting that this whole thing about Maduro is because Maduro upset Israel. And like I've said, and many people, and I see it now that I'm watching a few more videos of other people, they say the same thing that I do. They're wondering who's in control. Is it Israel or the United States? Who's the boss in that relationship? And I'll tell you what, for the most part, it's mostly Israel. Israel, they've got the goods. Epstein was one of the ones. Matt Gaetz was talking about in some video, talking to I think it was he talking to? I'm even forgetting now. I think he was talking with Marjorie Taylor Greene, or maybe it was somebody else. But anyway, how they're you get a free trip to Israel when you're a freshman congressman. He went there, and he says he had to go back to his room for something, and there's people looking through his room, looking through his personal items. And obviously they're trying to get the goods on him. They get this compromising information, and it's a very well-known fact. Like I said, Bill Clinton said it. Bill Clinton, they got him up one way and down the other way. They had Bill Clinton in many, many different ways. It is so sad. It is so very, very sad that when they get the goods on you, I've even mentioned that's a manipulation technique, and I've seen it before. Like I said, I was in Army intelligence. Even though I was not an intelligence worker, I was told about this stuff and how this is done. It's all in the books of the United States on how to compromise people, Israel as well. And they even look for people, like I said before, that have a weakness for little boys or little girls, or for other women, or for money, or whatever, anything that they can use, and then they can manipulate you. You take classes on manipulation. Not how to manipulate, but how others can be manipulating you and what to watch out for. I guess in a way that's actually training you, because you're what others do to you, you say, well, hey, I can do that back to somebody else, maybe. Anyway, Nicolas Maduro with his scathing talk about Israel, I guess that's pretty much. And then Israel said, okay, go after Maduro, because like I said, they're the bosses. So they tell the United States what to do, or else, what about that young girl that you were with back 2 years ago, back in that one hotel over there? And anyhow, so let's see. Any American should feel shame about how they're manipulated, how their whole country is manipulated, the whole government. The Congress is manipulated. They have a lot of judges that are manipulated. And what other judges are not manipulated? George Soros has already bought them. Maybe he's got manipulation. I tell you what, it's really, really something. A lot of people talk about how corrupt it is in Washington, how corrupt Hollywood is. Oh my God. But you guys, that's all subjects from other people. So, I don't know, with all this power, it's no, I should show, there's a look at that, a British bus. Oh, it's a Minsk tour, if you guys can see that. I don't know if you saw that double-decker bus, anyway. But like I was going to say, that it's no wonder that Satan Yahoo is now, I guess just a day ago, he's proclaimed Eretz Israel. Wow. If you guys know what that means, wow, that's incredible. Eretz Israel. And there's no wonder why he is attacking Syria, why he's attacking Lebanon. What's next? Jordan? So Eretz Israel, Greater Israel. He said Greater Israel. I don't know, was he? I think he was talking in English. I'm not even sure anymore, but I saw the tape. And he's, very religious moment, and it's really, really terrible, because they're going to take all of Gaza, and they're going to take Palestine, all of Palestine, and it looks like they're making their big move for it right now. And apparently, they're already moving to take like 61% of the West Bank. I guess what you call is Palestine proper. And they said they're going to take all of Gaza. A lot of people are telling them not to. Australia said they're going to recognize a Palestinian state. But, Israel always gets what they want. Donald Trump is their willing slave. I guess it's now or never, because Donald Trump, I don't know, it seems to be undeniable that Donald Trump is a Zionist. He's at least, I don't know, is he a Christian? His daughter is Jewish. Obviously, she's a Zionist Jew, even though she's American and she lives in America. This is really terrible stuff going on in the world. Yeah, I got more terrible stuff if you guys want to keep on hearing the bad news. Okay. Anyway, that declaration of Eretz Israel, that should be news everywhere in the world. Probably not even going to talk about it in the United States. So you talk about the United States controlling the world, the masters of the world, and then you just have to ask yourself, well, who controls the United States? Aha! I can, Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm sure he can elucidate you on that one. Okay. They control the U.S. Congress, they control the president, obviously now, a lot of the judicial branch. Soros has a lot of the Jewish judiciary as well. Jeffrey Sachs, he knows all about this kind of stuff, by the way. And he said some chilling things yesterday. He reminded us that the U.S. not only has guided bombs, tracked bombs, guided missiles, ATACMS, HIMARS, all in Ukraine, and along with that, who's the one that are pushing the buttons on those? It's American soldiers. So he said it's the American military personnel are firing them, and that means that the U.S. military, is attacking Russia. And you hear about Russia saying, well, if Germany sends in, what is it called? Not Storm Shadow, anyway, the German deal. Now I forgot the name of it. And they start firing them. So if Russia says that they can use that as a reason to hit targets in Germany, how come they're not hitting targets in America right now? Well, it's obvious. I don't know, because that would be a World War III. I don't think Germany has any nukes. So, lets you know how much of a security guarantee nuclear weapons are. Maybe that's why Ukraine is begging for them. But anyway, so he said it's weird that the U.S. military is attacking Russia, but the White House says that the U.S. security is at risk. And he's saying, he said it should make George Orwell blush. He said, what's going on here? because George Orwell, he said, in his wondrous imagination, could not make up what Orwellian illogic of this White House. And let me add to that. And Trump, his excuse is always, it's Joe Biden's war. It's Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden isn't the president anymore. Aren't you the president anymore? Aren't you the president, Donald Trump? Oh my God. So guess whose war it is? It's Donald Trump's war. So why do you keep doing all the same things that Joe Biden did? I mean, don't you have the authority to stop it? Stop it! You gotta watch that video. I think it's still on YouTube with why is it when I turn the camera on, everything is forgotten? There's a comedian, Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart. Look up Bob Newhart and stop it. And it's a funny video. It's really incredible. So the purpose of what oh, my girlfriend is leaving. Oh no. The purpose of what Jeffrey Sachs is saying was to make us notice how close the world, or the United States and Russia, is to nuclear war. And it's Tulsi Gabbard was just talking about that, I think, some weeks ago. And it's like any minute. It's like, well, it's you think we're going to get like a warning? Oh, we're going to drop a nuke on you. And I don't know. Whoever drops the nuke is going to lose. I mean, look at how the United States, I just talked about this, you have the anniversaries of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and you have all of these puppets of the United States, not even admitting, it's not even allowed, apparently, it's not even allowed at any of these commemoration things and the sad, and laying wreaths or whatever, it's not even allowed to say that it was the United States that dropped those bombs twice on a civilian population. It's just like when the United States bombed, and England, they bombed Dresden. Civilians. There was no military there. They were bombing the civilians. Cologne, Germany. They left the cathedral, which is the most powerful Gothic cathedral on planet Earth, and it's not, even if Notre Dame wasn't burned out, it's not Notre Dame. It is the Cologne Cathedral. Something that you must see if you want to see one of the man-made wonders of the world is the Cologne Cathedral. Luckily, the United States, they didn't bomb that. They leveled everything in Cologne. Who knows how many, hundreds of thousands of Germans they killed. Very strange, the fact that they killed more Belarusians. The Germans killed more Belarusians than the Americans killed Germans. But they still killed a lot of Germans, mostly the bombing of Dresden and a lot of the other cities. I don't know, maybe a lot of the people were allowed to get away. They just destroyed every building. And a lot of people are now putting the death toll. And they said it is undeniably over 300,000. They said that's a minimum of Gaza, how many people were killed in Gaza. And you hear, 60,000, but that is only because they have the bodies and they could verify and they could identify who was killed. Those that they don't know that are under the rubble, they said the minimum is 300,000, and some people have the estimate up to 400,000. So this is far, far worse than what you think it is. Yeah, anyway, just to say that. Oops. So it makes you wonder if Russia was somewhere and sending, in Canada or Mexico, and pushing the buttons to send bombs into the United States and to kill U.S. citizens, as the United States exactly is what they are doing. They are killing Russian civilians. They're not killing that many Russian servicemen. They're killing civilians, and that's the United States pushing the buttons to do that. But Britain is even more deeply involved in other ways, in that, mostly in intelligence. The United States obviously helps in intelligence. So if Donald Trump, I don't know, the only thing that maybe could help the end of this war is if Donald Trump and Putin talk, and Donald Trump says, okay, we're going to pull out, and like most people are saying, it's a proxy war. It's the United States against Russia. It's not Ukraine. Ukraine is nothing but a tool. It's just a little go-between, but it's the U.S. against Russia, mostly. And then they, the Great Britain is using their intelligence, and they're the ones, that did all this stuff in the Crimea and the Black Sea, and you guys, if you've been following that stuff, you already know all this anyway. And Russia has made tremendous grounds in the past days, tremendous. And some people are saying that by the middle of September, Ukraine, if this keeps on going as it is, Ukraine, the whole military should collapse by the middle of September. If not the beginning of, we're just some weeks away. We're 3 weeks away. Some people saying that the Ukrainian military can't last more than 3 more weeks or 4 weeks. I don't know. Because they've drawn all their forces from so many other places just to plug up the big holes. Yeah. Yes. MI6, CIA helped the Ukraine very, very much. A lot of these attacks within Russia, was coordinated by the CIA, not to mention all the other intelligence, with satellites and whatever. Sachs also suggests that Trump use diplomacy instead of ultimatums. You have 50 days to do this. Now I'm going to change my mind. I'm such a stable guy. I'm going to make it 10 days. India, you have to do this, or this is what's going to happen. But anyway, Jeffrey Sachs says the United States should start using something called diplomacy instead of just ultimatums. Like a lot of people are saying the United States hasn't done diplomacy for many decades now. So anyway, you have that. Anyway, there's actually a lot of more news. There's things like cyber war things going on in the United States, and using Ukraine to do massive cyber wars against Russia, as well as other people. And I think I remember seeing something else, and I think I have it in my notes, that Israel has massive amounts of people involved in doing cyber warfare against who knows who. I'd have to read a lot more of that and find out about it. But for right now, that's all I have to say for news. And I got another video getting uploaded. This is less than half an hour, luckily. So hope y'all enjoyed it. And like I said, I have enough things to do another video, so probably tomorrow I'll do another one. And thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. So bye-bye.